Today, you are being given an opportunity to begin a journey that will teach you about forgiveness. When we forgive, we begin to see the person who has been unfair or unjust to us through the eyes of love and respect and kindness. We begin to soften our hearts toward that person so that we are no longer angry with him or her for their unfairness. As we begin our journey of forgiveness, we will not talk about forgiveness itself, but instead we will learn about some things that will help us to understand forgiveness in later lessons. For example, in the first 3 lessons, we will talk about the importance of seeing the worth of all people. Then we will discuss love, followed by a discussion of kindness, respect, and generosity. After that, we will begin to talk about forgiveness itself. But for now, let's turn to today's lesson, where we will talk about seeing the worth of all people. Today, you will be listening to a story by an author named Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss is an author from the United States who cared about children very much. He understood that the happiest children are those who treat themselves and others well. Dr. Seuss wrote many books that are both fun and they help us learn to treat others well. Before I begin reading the story today, I want you to keep an ear out for the following phrase while I am reading. A person is a person, no matter how small. Try to listen for that phrase as I read the story. Horton Hears a Who by Dr. Seuss, published by Random House. On the 15th of May, in the jungle of Newell, in the heat of the day, in the cool of the pool, he was splashing, enjoying the jungle's great joys, when Horton the elephant heard a small noise. So Horton stopped splashing. He looked toward the sound. "That's funny," thought Horton. "There's no one around." Then he heard it again, just a very faint yelp, as if some tiny person were calling for help. "I'll help you," said Horton, "but who are you? Where?" He looked and he looked. He could see nothing there, but a small speck of dust blowing past in the air. "I say," murmured Horton, "I've never heard tell of a small speck of dust that is able to yell. So you know what I think? Why, I think that there must be someone on top of that small speck of dust. Some sort of creature of very small size, too small to be seen by an elephant's eyes. Some poor little person who's shaking with fear that he'll blow in the pool he has no way to steer. I'll just have to save him because, after all, a person's a person, no matter how small." And it turns out that small speck of dust does have people on it. They are called Whos, and they live in a town called Whoville. The small yap that the elephant heard was the mayor of Whoville. Horton places the small speck of dust on a small clover and begins to carry it around with him wherever he goes so that he can keep those small persons safe. Because, as Horton says, after all, a person's a person, no matter how small. Horton's jungle friends make fun of him. They tease him for carrying around a speck of dust and talking to a clover. A group of monkeys called the Wickersham Brothers steal the clover and the speck of dust from Horton. They give the speck of dust to an eagle who flies far, far away and takes the clover from Horton. Horton spends days searching for his clover, and finally he finds it. There is also a kangaroo in the forest who makes fun of Horton for talking to a speck of dust. The kangaroo convinces all the other animals to capture Horton and to take the speck of dust away. Horton pleads with his friends and tells them to listen because the small speck of dust is yelling for help. But the other animals cannot hear them yelling because their ears are not as big as the elephant's. Horton pleads with the Whos down in Whoville on the speck, and he tells them that they must yell as loud as they possibly can. The mayor down in Whoville runs all around the town and gathers people to yell so that everyone can hear. Still, the jungle animals are unable to hear them yelling. Horton tells the mayor one more time, "Mr. Mayor, you must yell louder." The mayor runs around town and tries to find anyone in the village who is not yelling. He finds a very small Who, a very small young boy, and he is not yelling. The mayor says to the young boy that he must yell in order to save their whole town. And finally, that young little Who boy yells. And finally, the jungle animals can hear them living on the small speck. Horton is so pleased that his jungle friends can hear the Whos, and everyone in the jungle says that from now on, they will try to protect the Whos living on that small speck of dust. Because, as Horton says, after all, a person's a person, no matter how small.